Good evening, and welcome to the 2025 Student Voices School Candidate Board Forum. This event was organized by students for students to provide an unbiased platform where candidates for the Platteville School Board can share their visions and priorities. Our goal is to create a space where students and community members can hear directly from those seeking to make decisions that will shape our schools in the years ahead. The goal for tonight was to ensure that all candidates felt welcome. We extended equal invitations to all 6 candidates running in this election. We appreciate those who are here tonight to engage in this important discussion. We encourage voters to learn about all candidates before casting their ballots on April 1st. The questions for tonight's forum were developed through a student-led process. We distributed a survey to the Platteville High School student body. We received 116 responses, which is about 24% of our school. The survey first asked about students' awareness of this election. We found that a majority of students have heard about it. Most of those who will be eligible to vote planned on voting. However, most of the high schoolers who are not yet 18 and will continue to be impacted by the results of this election had little plans to discuss or learn about this election. Next, we asked about the issues that they care about most within our school. From those responses, we received 13 different topics that high schoolers in our community care passionately about. Lastly, we asked if they could ask any question to the school board candidates, what would they be? These are the exact questions that we will be asking the candidates tonight. The questions are the voices of Platteville students, the very individuals most impacted by our school board decisions. You may ask, what is your purpose for putting on this event? Well, I was asked this directly by a member of our community. Many people in this room, like me, may have just turned 18 or in the coming months or years will be turning 18. We have been told that we are just 18 and should find better things to do. One of the best things about living in this beautiful country is that just 18 gives you a whole lot of power. At 18, we are given a civil liberty, a civil responsibility to select those who make the decisions for us and who have the power to change our lives. And without being informed, how can we justify making these decisions? Voting is not just a task, it's a privilege. Many before us have fought for this voice, and we must never take it for granted. To stand here today is to recognize that our choices matter, that our perspective deserve to be heard, and that our participation shapes the future of our schools and our community. I stand before you today with a goal and a mission to provide an opportunity to inform all who care to learn, foster respectful dialogue, and embrace one of the greatest civil freedoms. Even though most of us are just 18, that's more than enough to make a difference. Before we begin, let me explain the format of tonight's event. A student from the high school will come up and introduce each topic in question. They will explain the order in which the candidates will speak. Each candidate will have up to 3 minutes to respond, though they are not required to use the entire time. This is a forum, not a debate, meaning that there will be no rebuttals or interruptions after or during the candidate's designated speaking time. Thank you to our candidates for being here, to the students who have participated, and to everyone in the audience and watching at home for joining us. With that, let's begin. The first question for tonight, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you hope to represent our district on the school board. We will start with Mrs. King and move down the line.
All right, starting with me first. Love it. Good evening, everyone. My name is Keisha King. And I am a current school board member here with Platteville School District, and I'm hoping to continue as a school board member for the upcoming 3 years. Why do I want to be a school board member? Because I want to be an advocate for teachers, students, the community, anyone that is passionate about our schools. I was currently a teacher at Westview Elementary for 4 years. Loved my teaching experience there. Went away, came back, and then found a seat that was available for the school board, and that is how I continue serving our community and our school and our students. Just want to make sure that you have a voice here and know that you have a voice with me.
I'm Jill Wiederholt, and the main reason I'm running for school board is that I care about people. I am a listener, and I hear a lot of things in our community, and I want to be a voice for those people. I have 3 children. Micah graduated from Platteville last year, and Anna will graduate this year, and Levi has a few more years yet. And then I have nieces, nephews, all the kids as friends. We have teachers. There's just so many people in this district that I love and care about and want to be a voice for.
My name is Betsy Ralph Tollefson. Thank you so much, Seth and Platteville High School, for having us here today. I truly believe you could never be too young or too old to inform yourself, and education makes our communities, our state, our region, our world a better place. I am a wife and have 2 kids here in Platteville. I grew up in Platteville, and like some, went away, but came back when I had the opportunity to make a choice of where I wanted to get my higher education, where I wanted to work and live. And my entire professional experience has been in education and nonprofit work, serving the people in our communities, and serving on the school board has allowed me to continue to be a partner and to be of service to our community. And so I hope for your vote on April 1st to continue that work.
Hi, I'm Ben Grossman. I am a current board member. I've been on the board for 3 years now, and I'm looking to continue that. The reason I'm running for the board is I was originally looking for a way to give back to the community. I moved here in early 2000s, really just kind of fell in love with this town, and then started to find ways to give back. First, volunteering as coaching, working with a PTO the schools that my children were in, and then just kind of seemed like the next step was to step up and try to serve on the school board and support the school in this way. I do have 2 children that are in the district, and I like being here and supporting everyone.
Thank you so much, candidates. I would like to introduce our first speaker. It'll be Mr. Fletcher Klein.
Before I start my little spiel here, I'd like to give my sincerest thank you to all 4 of the candidates here tonight. I'm very grateful that you showed up. Good evening. My name is Fletcher Klein. I'm a senior here at Platteville High School. In our student survey, mental health and wellness stood out as the top priority for our students, with 48.2% saying it's one of the biggest concerns. It's clear that the students want to see real support in this area. To explore this further, I'd like to ask each of the candidates to share their thoughts. We'll start with Keisha King, then hear from Ben Grossman. Third will be Jill Wiederholt, and we'll finish up with Betsy Ralph Tollefson. The question is, how do you plan to improve access to mental health resources and support for students struggling with things like depression and anxiety? Keisha?
Thank you very much, Fletcher. Mental health and wellness, that is a very, very touchy, a very, very sensitive subject. How would I approach that? I have to remind myself that mental health that's case by case. There is no cookie cutter process or strategy for any mental health. Number one, making sure that the students are heard. Making sure that we understand what the students really need. What do you need? Reaching out to the students themselves and finding out what is it that would make the school feel as if make you feel supported in the schools when it comes to mental health. Not judging anyone's experience with mental health. Mental health comes in many different facets, many different ways, many different shapes, many different experiences. And that's something that we just can't do. We can't judge other experiences on one experience alone, and just reaching out to other schools maybe and finding out what they're doing to support their students with mental health. For me, the key is actually reaching out to the students, like I said before, and making sure that we understand what it is that you need. Because if your voice is not heard in what you need, then how can we support you at all?
Thank you very much, Keisha. Mr. Grossman, you're next.
Mental health, of course, is a very important topic. I think the first thing that we should talk about is what already exists. We already have some places, some processes in place in the district. We have partnerships with a couple different organizations that do help with mental health and supporting counseling and different options. And that's something that we do evaluate each year. We try to look to make sure that that's being utilized. And if we see we need more support, working to find more partnerships that we can bring in to make sure that we can fully serve. The other thing too is really, reaching into the students. A lot of work with the teachers on training to help identify, especially at younger ages. I can speak from personal experience. Eating disorders can happen very, very young. So trying to get in and having students as young as first grade already being identified as potential having issues there. Some of our staff have done that in the past, and that is somewhere where I want to make sure we keep training up and we're being actively observant.
Thank you very much, Ben. Next up, we have Jill Wiederholt.
First of all, having mental health and wellness has become such an increasing issue in this day and age, and we really do need to be on top of this issue. I think having access to professionals is very, very important in our school district. Something that we can do to improve, or maybe we are doing it, but we can always do more, is to be teaching students to recognize stress and anxiety, depression, teaching them coping skills to go along with. We could establish student-led mental health advocacy groups and peer mentorship programs. We should be educating parents and people in our community to look for signs too. This has become a very serious issue more recently, like not when I was a kid, but in this day and age, there's just a lot of pressure on kids.
Thank you so much. And to wrap it up here, Mrs. Ralph Tollefson, please.
I'd like to, echo. We've had great responses so far. I also lean into what Ben said as far as looking at what we do. We have social emotional learning curriculum at every school. So starting in 4K and moving into the grade school, middle school, high school, which is phenomenal. We contract with services that we look at annually as a board to provide services. We've added to our social, in the past when we've established need and had funding, have added to our social work staffing. We've added guidance and mental health counseling at the middle school. So really, working with our teachers and our building leaders to identify what those students need and providing appropriate staffing and programming. And that even goes into extracurricular activities, right? Having our student groups where students can feel that belonging can help alleviate anxiety and depression when people feel heard and feel seen by their peers and others. And then moving into our physical education programming. Movement is one of the best things that we can do for our students' mental health needs, and discouraging screen time, right? And how we handle cell phone usage in our campuses, I think, is also plays a huge role in that.
Thank you so much, candidates. Next up, we have Miss Rowan Shumaleski.
Hello, everyone, and I want to thank you as well for being here. So, hi, my name is Rowan Shumaleski, as Fletcher introduced me, and I am also a student here at Platteville High School. In our recent survey, extracurricular programming and funding ranked the next highest priorities for students, with 46.4% identifying it as a key concern. These activities play a crucial role in student life, fostering personal growth, leadership, and school spirit. With that in mind, I'd like to ask each candidate to share their thoughts. We'll start with Jill Wiederholt, then hear from Betsy Ralph Tollefson. After that will be Keisha King, and conclude with Ben Grossman. So for the question, how do you plan to increase student engagement and motivation through extracurricular programming, including the arts and music? And we'll start with Mrs. Wiederholt.
Extracurriculars are a huge part of our school district and our students' lives. Many valuable and lasting friendships occur during extracurricular activities, and that's how those connections are made. So they're important. They're important to help people feel that they're part of the community. Something that we do a great job at but could do better at is finding gifted people in our community who are willing to volunteer their time and talents. Area businesses are often honored to be asked to give a field trip or provide a school to work experience. I know this from experience because we've hosted on our farm. Maybe some of you have been to Banner Ridge Farms for your field trip when you were little. And then we have also hosted school to work students at our farm. So if you are willing to ask, if the school is willing to ask, a lot of times people are willing to, they're honored to be asked and they're willing to step up. And then we can work to provide students with more opportunities to showcase their talents and become part of the community.
Thank you for that response. We'll now move on to Mrs. Ralph Tolfson.
I think exposure is key. We in our district do a really nice job exposing our students to all of the opportunities that Platteville has. And starting very young, we have mentorship and partnership programs with the high schoolers and middle schoolers coming into to Neil Wilkins and to Westview. So students can see themselves in the activities and in part of our community at Platteville, whether it's athletics or music or theater. The middle school welcomes the elementary schools in for performances, and whenever we go to the district website or to the YouTube page, the play is there. And my son every time says that recording, he goes, "That is just a great play." And he knows that because he saw it at school and was given that opportunity. And so the more that we're able to expose our students to the different opportunities that we offer as a district, the more they're able to see themselves and are motivated and make that connection, and at every level. Because, it may not click right in 4K or kindergarten, but they all have grown and been different people and have had different experiences and exposures by the time they're in 5th and 6th grade and ready to pick that elective class in middle school. They'll have seen it and been exposed to it to make that decision then.
Awesome. Thank you for your insight. We will now move on to Mrs. King.
I'm going to piggyback off of what Betsy is saying right now and also say, I just want to bring about one of my experiences as a teacher, as a 1st grade and as a 4th grade teacher. Whenever we would take our students and bring them here, either to the high school or take them over to the middle school, to the plays, oh my goodness, the conversations that we would have in the classrooms about the plays. There were many moments where we would actually incorporate it into our curriculum or our lesson for the day. Whatever the play was about, we can actually incorporate it into whatever we were writing about, or maybe it was something that they did, something that was related to science or math. It didn't matter. We incorporated it into the day. So just like what Betsy is saying, yes, it ties into every part of what we do here in the school. For me, it is also up to the students to want to be involved in those things. But with that said, putting aside our biases about some of the extracurricular activities that we actually provide and asking the students themselves, what are you interested in? What are they interested in? What would they like to see? I bring about a conversation that I just recently had regarding track. And I love track. Track is one of my favorite sports, one of my favorite events. However, if the student doesn't like track, then, well, I'm wondering, well, why? How come you don't like track? Because everybody should like it. But I had to put away my biases for a moment and say, well, how come you don't like it? What is it that we can make better about it? And we actually kind of collaborated a little bit on how maybe we can incorporate another event into track and make it something that that person wants to be a part of. So again, finding out what those students' interests are, and even encouraging our teachers and our faculty, even up to our administrators, encouraging them to find ways to encourage the students to want to be involved in those extracurricular activities. So for me, it revolves around the students.
Thank you. I appreciate your insight as well. We'll now move on to Mr. Grossman.
There's not a lot left to say. Definitely, we need to make sure everyone's exposed to what's out there. And I think the biggest thing that we haven't talked about yet is also making sure we're not restricting. We want everyone to be knowledgeable of what's out there. We don't want to hide any groups. We don't want to have anything tucked away because it's not a topic we don't want to talk about. all of the groups should equally be treated, which I think the district actually does a great job right now, especially on Facebook, of celebrating all of our different groups, all of our different age groups, and trying to make sure that it's really well publicized what the school district is doing and what it's offering. So we are already doing a lot to get there, but to increase it and to increase the engagement and for everyone, I think is to make sure we're not being restrictive at all.
Awesome. Thank you all for your input and responses. I would now like to introduce Mr. Guthrie Klein.
Hello, my name is Guthrie Klein, and I'm a junior here at Platteville High School. In our recent survey, student safety ranked as the third highest priority, with 46.4% of students identifying it as a major concern. Feeling safe at school is essential for students to learn and thrive. With that in mind, I'd like to ask each candidate to share their thoughts on how we could address student safety. We'll start with Jill Wiederholt, then move to Ben Grossman, followed by Betsy Ralph-Tolverson, and finish with Keisha King. The question is, what specific measures would you implement to improve physical security on school grounds and also during extracurricular events? We'll start with Betsy Ralph-Tolverson.
Thank you for the question. I would like to say that I 100% agree. You need to feel safe to learn. And we have just posted 3 years of academic growth within our district, and that doesn't just happen without students feeling safe here. And again, it's not to say that there isn't room for improvement, because there absolutely is in all areas. And I would start with, again, the student perspective. What is it? Is it a physical safety? Is it an emotional or psychological safety that you're concerned about, so that we're able to address it? All of our buildings have security cameras. They've been updated in the last 3 years. We received over $100,000 worth of state grants to improve the physical safety of all of the entryways in our building in the last 3 years, and have a full-time community service officer that is employed by our district, as well as a close to full-time social worker to help address the physical and emotional and psychological safety of our students, as well as really strong relationships between our staff, faculty, and our students. And so I think that this is a very important thing, and it should be a continuing, ongoing dialogue between our students and our staff to help make sure that we're meeting people's needs, especially their most basic needs like safety.
Thank you very much, Betsy. Next, Jill.
I think Betsy said everything I was going to say. Good job, Betsy. The only thing I would add is that it might be nice to have a resource officer at each school if we don't. Teaching like the little ones that police officers keep us safe rather than there's somebody to be afraid of. Other than that, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you for that. Ben Grossman.
So yeah, school safety is one of the most important things that we have. And so it is always an ongoing and evolving thing that we have to keep our eye on. I know that I personally met with Mr. Babel a couple times over the last 2 years discussing school safety. I have 2 children in the district. My wife works in the district. So it is always present on my mind. I'm always asking questions on how we can improve, what we can do to improve. And especially with the physical safety, I mean, we see way too many incidents, even in local areas of very scary situations that we want to avoid. And we want to hope that will never be here, but we need to plan for if it could be here. And so how can we continue to grow and basically just never give up on what's the next step to improve?
Okay, thank you very much. Finally, Keisha.
Thank you. When we talk about student safety, we have to remind ourselves that we talk about physical and mental safety as well. Just as critical and as harmful as it is physical, it can be as harmful as it is mental. When we talk about mental safety, we talk about any type of harassment. We talk about, and physical, of course, we talk about physical violence, things of that nature. Asking the students, what are they being exposed to when it comes to safety? Just like Betsy said, we have all of these bells and whistles in place. Are they working for our students? when it comes to that safety? And if not, are we reaching out to the students to find out that information as well? Because guess what? They're the ones that are in the classroom. They're the ones that are walking the halls. And they're the ones that have their eyes on. I'm really proud of our students throughout the district that actually use our Speak Up, Speak Out resource, and which, you know, our anonymous tip lines and things to let us know when things are not going right in the school. I think it's also important for many of our organizations that are around in our schools to actually have these conversations with the students when it comes to safety and help them to not be afraid to say anything when things are going awry within the school, being that upstander instead of that bystander when it comes to safety and when it comes to just taking care of your fellow students as well. When it comes to the teachers, yes, making sure that they have the training that they need in order to make sure that they're taking care of the students. And I have seen our, in the past couple of years, I think our CRO has collaborated with our administrators, and the safety plans that we do have in place right now are phenomenal. Man, I actually put them up to the military when it comes to any of our safety plans, and I love it. Yeah, I don't have anything else other than we're doing a good job at it, but can we do better? Yes, we can always improve.
Thank you very much. I'm really grateful for your guys' participation. Thank you. Next, we have Ben Driskinski.
Good evening, candidates. My name is Ben Drifsinski, and I am a senior here at Platteville High School. In our recent survey, curriculum planning and academic standards were highlighted as a priority, with 33% of our students marking it as a key concern. The quality of our education and the standards we are held to shape our future. With that in mind, I'd like to ask each candidate to share their thoughts on how they would approach curriculum planning and academic standards. We will start off with Betsy Ralph Tollefson, then hear from Keisha King. After that will be Ben Grossman, and to conclude will be Jill Wiederholt. Betsy, let's start with you.
Thank you for the question. Well, I think...
Sorry, I failed
to
go
to order?
ask the question. That's on me.
I've got it.
What strategies will you use to gather feedback from both students and parents when making decisions about curriculum and academic standards?
Well, some of those, unfortunately, you don't get a say in. Standards are set by the state, and we're following those standards. As far as learning objectives, what needs to be covered in courses, the required credits that are expected from high school and middle school students, that's set at the state level. Things like course offerings are things that we absolutely get feedback from students and parents. And one of the best ways is through sign up and interest in things like Start College Now and offerings that extend past what we offer here. And we're able to then make changes in our staffing and course offerings based off of student interest. And a great example of this is the enrollment. We were contracting with instructor from Southwest Tech for consumer and family education courses. So many students from Platteville High School were taking it that it made more sense to hire that instructor on full-time within our district rather than pay for it to be contracted, because students showed that much interest in those courses. That's one way that we get feedback from them. Again, surveying at a young age, doing information nights are all great ways to gather feedback from parents and students, because sometimes people don't even know, you don't know what you don't know and what's out there to be able to take in what's offered. And so really having those open lines of communication to find out what our student interest in, but enrollment is, I would say, in some of those elective classes is one of the best ways that we can get feedback.
Thank you, Betsy. Keisha, how about some words from you?
All right, I'm going to read this, okay? All right. So, for curriculum planning, that's what we're asking about. Communication and collaboration for me, that's always key. The board encourages teachers to communicate and collaborate with parents regarding their children's education, and that's always, and I can attest to that as experience in the classroom. Will always encourage parents to be involved in their children's learning, whether it is through reviewing their graded assignments or supporting their children's with their homework or even reading time at home. It is important that students feel as if they are receiving an education that equips them for engaging in professional and long-lasting career roles locally and globally. So it's a matter of actually involving that parent in the instruction. And just like Betsy said, we have standards that we have to abide by. We are mandated to teach certain things within our classroom. But as a parent, yes, parents always have that opportunity to actually collaborate with that teacher. If there's a certain way that the children learn, and I have experienced this, hey, talking with that parent and finding out, hey, how does your child learn? Do they learn better in this environment or this environment? Should I slow it down? Should I speed it up? Give them additional work or not? You know, what's going to help them to actually be successful in achieving, grades in those standards and going on.
Awesome. Thank you, Keisha. Ben, how about you?
What the last two have kind of said is we look at statistics a lot. So there are academic standards set by the state, and then we review how we are performing as a school against those standards. We then evaluate if we need to change the way we're teaching and the way that we are handling things. And that's a lot of what comes through the board, especially during the summer. There will be changes to curriculum. We will review different teaching styles and different methods. With that, we love to hear from everyone. We all have school board emails that everyone can email us anytime they want. My kids will tell you that I talk too much. They hate it whenever I'm out in public. If someone wants to stop and talk to me about anything school related, I'm going to stop and listen, and we'll have a nice conversation about it. I take all of that feedback that I get back to our meetings, back to our discussions at the school board or directly with the superintendent or with building principals sometimes. And we try to make sure that we are listening and we are carrying what everyone has for feedback to the district. Sometimes feedback some things just can't be changed. It is mandated by the state. So we love hearing that feedback and we try to respond back to that, but there are some places where our hands are just tied.
Thank you, Ben. Jill, any last words?
I think we've all said about the same thing. I would just say, we all know that the state mandates standards that we have to teach to. So we kind of know that already. Something to keep in mind is that there are several different kinds of learners, and I think we've kind of addressed that too, but it doesn't hurt to teach things to the person that can read it and understand it, but then teach it again to the person that has to do it, and then teach it again to the person that has to see it. But just to teach to all of the different kinds of learners. I have one more thing, is more for the high school level, is to be reaching out to actual businesses and the workforce and finding out what do they want students to know coming into the workforce. What are some skills that the actual workforce wants?
Awesome. Thank you, candidates, for your question. I will now turn the podium over to Micah Lerner.
Hello, my name is Micah Lerner. I am a senior at Platteville High School. In our recent survey, budget planning was identified as a significant concern, with 30.3% of students highlighting it as a top priority. How the school allocates funds affects everything from academics to extracurriculars and facilities. With that in mind, I'd like to ask each candidate to share their thoughts on how they would approach budget planning for the district. We will start with Jill Wiederholt and then move to Betsy Ralph Tollefson, followed by Keisha King, and finish with Ben Grossman. The question is, what strategies will you use to manage the district budget to prioritize both academic programs and extracurricular activities fairly? We'll start with you, Jill.
I do believe that we need to prioritize academics. However, if students' basic needs are not being met, we are not going to be teaching anything. They will not be able to focus on academics. So in reality, we need to make sure that students are fed and clothed and safe before we can move forward. Something that students need is a why. They need a reason to show up and put effort into school. Art, music, sports, and other extracurriculars can provide that. So, we need to focus on academics, but we also need to draw them in. We need to figure out our priorities.
Thank you. We'll move to you, Betsy.
Well, our number one cost as a district is our staff, right? It's our people, and we need people to run both academics and extracurriculars. And when decisions have to be made, academics become the top priority because, again, we're required by the state. Everybody needs to receive a fair and equitable education here. And I think that the top strategy I would have is to advocate for an operating referendum so that we're able to continue to pay our staff and manage the buildings that we need to provide academics and extracurriculars for our students. And so we're going to continue to work with our community to advocate for the need for an operational referendum for our school and our community.
Wonderful. On to you, Keisha.
I'm so sorry, I was wrapped up in what Betsy was saying and Jill was saying. For the budget, to be clear, the school board approves the budget. We do not manage the budget. We leave that up to our administrators. We do have competent administrators to do that, and that's what they do. What I will do as a school board member is make sure that I ask the questions and verify information and ensure that we have competent experts doing the job and making sure that the funds are distributed fairly. Yes, academics is our priority, but so are there other aspects that makes our district great as well.
Lovely. On to you, Ben.
I think the only thing I have really to add to what already has been said is that we are working with the community to try to find creative ways to stretch the budget we have. The referendum has failed twice, so it's a pretty loud message that it probably will again. So what can we do with what we have? And working with outside organizations that we can contract in, support for mental health. That is a way that we're able to still provide a good coverage, but not at the full cost as if we had all the staff that we have available to our students full time. Working with other partnerships inside the community is other ways that we can try to stretch the budget, try to get some more sponsors, donations. I mean, the scoreboard is a great example also of places where we have sponsors that help give back so we can extend what we can do. But it will come down to really academics are first, and then after that, if we have to make a cut, which none of us want to do. Honestly, we all want to give every student every opportunity to be involved in anything they want to do, but we have to look at what the student enrollment is. If you have activities that have little to no enrollments, that's where it would have to start.
Thank you. I will now invite Ms. Aspen Tespdolf to the stage.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Aspen Tesdal. I am a senior at Platteville High School, and in our recent survey, book selection and censorship were highlighted as important issues, with 28.6% of students making it their top priority. The books available to shape us, our understanding of the world, and it's important that we strike the right balance between accessibility and opportunities. With that in mind, I'd like to ask each candidate to share their thoughts on how they would approach book selection and censorship. We'll start with Ben Grossman, then move to Keisha King, followed by Jill Wiederholt, and finish with Betsy Ralph Tollefson. The question is, how will you ensure that our students have access to a diverse range of books while also addressing concerns about content appropriation? Start with Ben.
So this is kind of a hard one. This isn't our topic where we don't directly manage the books. That is out of our hands. We do oversee what the librarians have been doing over the last, is it 10 years, I think now. We brought in a service where they evaluated the books, they started to expand and diversify the books, and try to make sure that we are hitting various types of authors, various regions, and various content within the books. So the district as a whole has done an amazing job of diversifying our library. And I really do applaud the librarians for what they've done. I am very happy that some parents that did not approve of all the books brought forth the books that they didn't approve of. I want to hear that feedback, and we have that access for everyone to communicate that to us. And I think that the book review group that we had did an amazing job of reviewing those books and putting together a really good report of why they should still be available to our students. And I agreed with them, and I did vote to agree with that and keep those books where they are. So I think really we do need to make sure we have that good range of diversity. You want to give every child a chance to see themselves in the books and to see other things that they may not be able to see otherwise. And so I'm very happy with what we have done, and I will continue to support our librarians and the excellent work that they have done.
Thank you, Ben. Next, Keisha King.
I echo what Ben said. Our librarians are phenomenal, and I get to work with them on many avenues, many levels, many ways. Our library review committee that just recently convened with a book consideration. I thank them and applaud them for the work and the research and the effort that they put into making sure that they research and give us factual and valuable insight into the books that were in question. For me, how will we ensure the students to have access to a diverse range of books while addressing those concerns about content appropriateness? Continue to follow the process that we have in place to ensure we have books available for a wide variety of our students, not just one particular value or population. We should also allow our students to be stakeholders in the materials that we provide. It's true that we do have, we have in place a system that we use in order to, look at the selections, but how about reaching out to those students and finding out what books actually matter to you? So yes, and making sure that all experiences are viewed and not just, through one lens. I can't judge based on contents of a value of one household because I value all experiences because no experience is the same. All experiences are unique. And just from my experience as a young girl coming up, there are many books that I see today I wish I had available to me to be able to make decisions in my life. And I hope that we are able to keep that and continue providing those books within our schools to our students today.
Thank you, Keisha. Next, Jill.
I think Keisha already spoke very well. I believe that input should be received from students and parents and teachers as they discover students' interests. I know if I were a librarian, I probably wouldn't be ordering books about dirt bikes and mechanics, but there are kids in our school district that is what they thrive on, and we need to have books for them. We need to have books that cover everyone's interests. I would encourage surveys and ways to express topics of interest. Maybe a jar on the librarian's desk would be a simple thing to do. A way to put a topic that you're interested in having books in and that you're not finding enough of them in the library. I don't believe in banning books, but I do believe in having books age appropriate for each student, for each school library. And I think there are inter-school library loans set up already and loans with the public schools set up already. So that would be, a great opportunity for if we can't find something in our library at the school that your student is at, we can grab something from another library right here in town.
Thank you, Jill. And Betsy?
I'd like to echo what Keisha said as far as following the policies and procedures that we have, including employing high-quality, educated, trained librarians that have access to resources and systems to put together their collections and curate those collections with feedback from teachers and students. They're able to look at trends for what's been checked out and what's not, and be able to adapt their collections, and also work with the teachers very closely to provide material that support directly what's going on in the classroom, and then upholding the policies that we have as a district through the board. We have processes in place for people to bring concerns. We have processes in place for students and families to see what the age appropriateness and guide them in their selection within the library, and to guide conversations at home, and also have checks and balances for what students are able to check out. And so that would be continuing those policies and practices, because censorship is not a good look no matter when or where it occurs, and definitely not in books.
Thank you all. Seth will come back.
I would like to first make sure that we give a round of applause to these 4 candidates for joining us today. We have about 15 minutes until our hour mark, so I'm just going to give one last chance for each of these candidates to say anything they want about their candidacy and about their plans. We'll start with Ben and just work our way down.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who came here tonight, everyone who's watching, and for you guys for putting this on. I mean, to have the high schoolers on their own initiative put this together is just amazing. It really impresses me what you guys are doing here, and it just is a great reflection on the school district and a wonderful job that the staff and faculty is doing here with all of our students.
Again, I would say thank you for the opportunity. Thank you to everyone that is watching and is joining us. It really goes to show, voice and choice. We communicate regularly with our students to find out what they're interested in and provide them opportunities to make that happen, but it doesn't happen by chance. It happens through very intentional partnership and support from our community, and we'll need that going forward, not just in elections, but every day for every student, because that's the mission of our district.
I as well want to thank you all for putting this together. This was a lot of work, and I know you've put weeks into this. Just thank you for good questions and for putting this together.
I just want to say thank you so much. I was very excited to be here, especially when I heard that the students were putting it together. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is a first in our school district's history to do a candidate forum like this. This was phenomenal. I applaud you, yes, for the questions. When I saw the questions, I'm like, oh my goodness, whoa, look at it makes my heart it just makes it do flips. To see this happen. So thank you so much for putting this together. Thank you for everybody who's watching. I can't wait to hear the numbers for the live stream. Thank you for everyone being here in the audience to support these students. There was literally, I would not have missed this for anything. So thank you.
As we come to the end of tonight's forum, we hope that this event has provided insight to the candidates' perspective and priorities. The decisions made by the school board will shape the future of our schools and community, and your participation in this democratic process is invaluable. We encourage everyone to continue these conversations, stay informed, and most importantly, exercise your right to vote. Remember, your voice matters. Thank you once again to our candidates for their time, all of the students who have helped participate and organize this event, and all of you in the audience for joining us tonight. Have a great evening.